And Commissioner Pagets is also here. Commissioner Pagets, is it okay if I make you co-host? Just in case I drop out.
Sure thing.
Thank you. All right, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the first ANC 3C Transportation Committee meeting for 2022. This is I just wanted to clarify one thing, that this meeting, we don't make any decisions at this meeting. This meeting is meant to be a place where community members and all of us can discuss things that we can then bring to the ANC. So this is where initial discussions happen, where we can draft resolutions, as some of you all will see today as well. But it's mainly a place where we can have more community discussion. And as you'll see, there's quite a bit on the agenda which the community is interested in and passionate about. So the first item on the agenda, so what I'm going to do is I am going to paste the agenda in the chat so that everyone has it and knows which place we are. And then after we are done with our first agenda item, then I will also go ahead and share my screen as well. So the Google Doc is pasted in the chat that has the agenda. And as you can see, the first agenda item is we're welcoming new committee members to this transportation committee. And this is very exciting because I think even for the longest time, there's no long serving ANC members here, but I think this is the first time any non-ANC member has been a member of a community committee. So this is a very exciting time. I mean, I think this is very good. It helps bring the ANC closer to everyone else. And I'm so happy for everyone, for the committee members that have volunteered and are giving their time to serve on the committee. So what I want to do is I want to just start off with introductions of our 4 new committee members. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Feel free to tell as much about yourself and your history in this neighborhood as you want, and then maybe a little bit about which transportation issues you're most excited about and why you're on the committee. So I'm okay going alphabetical, but I also know that Warren is shuffling between meetings. He's on the Bicycle Advisory Council. So I want to make sure that he gets back to his other meeting, as he had told me earlier. So if everyone else is okay, maybe Warren, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Swali. Yeah, normally the Bike Advisory Council meets every other month on the first Wednesday of the month, but because of New Year's and stuff, it was this Wednesday. So I'm the Ward 3 representative to that Bike Advisory Council, and I think this committee will very helpfully play off of that. I'm a longtime Woodley Park resident. I've been on the board of the Woodley Park Community Association, most recently as the secretary, but also as the treasurer and other positions in Woodley Park, where I've gotten the opportunity to work closely both with Swali and Janelle. And it's been really great. I'm looking forward to this committee. Thank you.
Naiwa, did you want to go next?
Sure. Well, thank you. This is Naiwa Duan. I'm very honored to serve on this committee. My wife and I have lived in Cleveland Park in the Kennedy Warren apartments for about 6 years. We love the community of the Northwest. We love the natural beauty. We love the historical heritage. We love the transportation. There are so many good options, good roadways and good public transportation. And we are very proud that our neighborhood is very walkable, except this last week when the Conn Ave Bridge got frozen. A lot of us had a very hard time exercising our pedestrian transportation. And both us, I've always been a firm believer in thinking globally and acting locally, both in my professional work as a statistician and researcher, in health service research, and also in my personal life. And in recent years, I've served on the Kennedy Warren Resident Association board, and also on the board very honorably with Soleil and Mike on the board for the Cleveland Park Community Association. And I look forward to learning from my fellow committee members and the public community members about the transportation issues in our neighborhood. And I look forward to doing my best to help contribute towards getting us to have a better transportation. I love the full title for the committee. Transportation should be safe, sustainable, and equitable. And I will work hard towards that goal. Thank you. Give me 5 seconds. Many of my friends find it difficult to figure out how to pronounce my name. So just to make sure that we can be on first name friendship, let me take a second. My first name is spelled Naihua, and the first syllable Nai is pronounced like nice without a C. The second syllable Hua is pronounced like what without a T. So if you think nice what is nice about Naihua? And drop the C, drop the T, Naihua, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Naihua. Tammy, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Tammy Gordon. I have lived in Cleveland Park for about 10 years. I live in Ordway Gardens, and I was excited to get involved and to join the committee, mostly after being so hyper local the last couple of years and living and working in the same space. And so everything from public transportation to biking to walkable communities, is certainly important to me. I also think the flexibility of having the neighborhood cafes for the restaurants to have operated throughout COVID has been so crucial. So I've loved in some of the design proposals ahead, the flexibility to keep those as needed. And, generally just sort of like the entire kind of like multimodal sort of transportation and streetscaping is something I care a lot about.
Thank you, Tammy. And then Mike, please go ahead.
Hi, nice to see everybody. My name is Mike Reifer. I'm serving in a capacity representing the Cleveland Park Citizens Association, where I've been on the board for about 3 years. My wife and I have lived in the neighborhood for about 8 years. We live on Rodman Street in Cleveland Park. And I'm personally very interested in sort of the full range of neighborhood transportation issues, from traffic safety to bicycling to pedestrian safety, and particularly kind of through the eyes of a parent who's been pushing strollers around the neighborhood for a couple of years. But I think in sort of my representational capacity, CPCA is also very, very interested in a wide range of things, and I think particularly I think as we look ahead to the redesign of Connecticut Avenue and the streetscape project and drainage project, I think also very, very, very mindful about the potential sort of spillover effects and what those might have on our sort of neighborhood transportation mobility systems. So definitely going to be representing sort of that viewpoint as well. And it's great to be serving here alongside Swale and Naihua, old friends. We served together on the CPCA board for several years, so it's great to be working together in this capacity now.
Yeah, and I want to thank you all for doing this. I think it's oftentimes volunteering is not easy, and it's always like, what do I get out of this? I personally promise that I will try and make sure you all don't have a lot of work, and we can do this around your schedules and as much as possible. But I think the most important thing is your input. One of the reasons we're doing this is because, yes, ANCs are elected officials, but often it's hard for even one ANC member to represent every opinion of the community. And so it's always good to get more people in. And I think even though, one of the things I want to do, which we probably won't have time for today, but I hope we can discuss as a committee, is like, how do we make decisions in this committee, right? Like, how are we going to vote on it? How do we make things like that? Which is good. Like, I think it's good to have time for that. But I also, there's so many issues confronting the community right now that I think we should we should discuss those initially, and then as there's time, maybe we can do a lot of that stuff over email as well. If everyone is okay, I think we'll get started. Usually what we do, as Commissioner Paggets is aware and does as well, is usually at the start of these meetings, we tell everyone about the agenda, and mostly ANC commissioners and committee members now. And so I've pasted the agenda again in the chat. It is a Google Doc. You can see that some of the items have a blue text attached to it. That means that there's some notes, but mostly we're going to go down this agenda. And the way I've designed this agenda is I've tried to put all the stuff where community members are here and might want to comment on things initially. And so we'll start with some of the stuff we've been working on and then work our way through this agenda as well. But committee members, since their first day, is there anything that is not on the agenda that you would like to put on the agenda that you want to see discussed today? Okay, I am not seeing anything, so we will just go ahead, Warren.
Yeah, I couldn't scroll through the whole thing fast enough. I was just curious, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. Did you put the speed hump issue on Cortland Place on the agenda?
Yes, it is on the agenda, so I will update the community on that. And I also have the resolution pulled up if anyone wants to look at it as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. So we will start with, as you can see, the first item on the agenda, and I will go ahead and share my screen so everyone can see, and I will try and take notes while I'm sharing my screen as well, so that we capture some of the discussion. So the first item on the agenda, as you all can see, is the L1 bus. And so this is now, I believe, the third time we're discussing this in our committee. And I'll just give everyone a little bit of background on this issue. The L1 bus line was stopped during the COVID-19 pandemic emergency when WMATA just stopped all buses. WMATA was also going through—
Swally, sorry to interrupt, but Eric has his hand up.
Yeah, I saw that. So I was just going to give a little bit of history and then transfer it over to Eric as well. Thank you, Commissioner Paggets. And so to give everyone a little bit of history, they stopped the L1 bus, and then at the same time, WMATA was going through some budgetary issues as well. And so it was unclear why they stopped it. And it was also unclear if the bus would ever come back. As bus service has resumed, the L1 bus actually never came back. And so we haven't really gotten a clear answer why it hasn't come back. And again, if Eric, if you wanted to add to some things, after I'm done speaking, you can add to some of this stuff. But I can give you all a little bit of update of what we can do to get this back. So community member Megan reached out to me and asked that we discuss this in committee. She has been incredibly helpful in helping draft a resolution, as well as trying to get a petition together. So what you see in the blue text is language for a petition that we want to send out to the community. And I wanted to show everyone here today what it is, and then hopefully we can send it out. I can tell you what the next steps will be as far as the way to advocate for this if we want this bus to return. What I've been told from WMATA is that we need to get this back in WMATA's budget. And so if it's not advocated for in the budget, the L1 bus will not return. I have been unable to get any more answers about why it was terminated and all that other stuff. I also doubt that we will be able to. So I do encourage all of us to kind of focus on the future of like, how do we get this back? And so the way we get it back is to advocate through the budget hearings that'll happen. They haven't opened yet. They expect to be open in February. So the advice I was given from WMATA was to get a resolution together that our ANC can pass, get a petition together, and then also reach out to Councilmember Che for support as well. And then what I expect is that we can pass this resolution in February. So you can link to the resolution, and I'll show that in a second. And I'm hoping that we work on this petition to get it out as well. But I will stop there, and then I will actually hand it over to Eric to add to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Sala, and thanks for inviting me to join. And I'll speak very briefly, but I did want to say that I really appreciate the committee focusing on this. I hope we can get a consensus in the ANC. Just a couple of words about the L1 bus. I've lived in Cleveland Park since '96, so about 25 years, have been using the bus, or was using the bus, until COVID and until it was suspended. very frequently. I did a little research. It is the original transit line before Metro was built. Actually, going back to the founding of Cleveland Park, this was the route of the streetcar that ran down Connecticut Avenue through DuPont Circle to downtown. And there was a bus line that wasn't just rush hour, it was a full-time bus line until Metro was built. And then it's a good practice actually not to duplicate bus lines and Metro lines. So starting when Metro opened on the Red Line, the regular L1 was curtailed, the L2 was created through Adams Morgan. But the L1 was kept as a rush hour line, partly because there were so many people working, living in Cleveland Park and working in various places. DuPont Circle, the West End, and Foggy Bottom are the three key neighborhoods that it goes through. It's enormously helpful to get to DuPont Circle quickly when there's a problem on the Red Line. But the most important destinations are the West End and Foggy Bottom. And those are destinations that are slow and not especially easy to reach on the Metro, either changing at Metro Center or walking from Farragut. It's probably double the time as it is on the L1. And that's just a disincentive to use the public transit. So that's really important. I suspect it was suspended, and no one that I know has gotten an explanation because of the COVID effects and the fact that so many people who normally work in the West End and Foggy Bottom are teleworking. But obviously, we're hoping that we'll get back to at least a balance between telework and working in place. A lot of the people, and I know from riding the bus for so many years, are federal employees working in Foggy Bottom and places like the State Department and the Federal Reserve and the Interior Department. A lot of people, though, are GW employees, faculty, students, and this is the best way to get from our neighborhood to GW as well. So, and I see someone from NAS. Yes, that's certainly right there next to the State Department. So hopefully we can sort of get them to accept the argument that maybe not immediately, but in terms of long-term planning and budgeting, it should come back. And I can tell you the buses over the years have generally been full. This is not an orphan bus line that nobody was using. Frequently over the years when I've used it, we had to stand starting in Cleveland Park. The seats were already all gone. So this is a bus line that certainly had enough ridership before COVID. So that's my pitch. And I, again, really appreciate the committee taking a look at this. And we'll do my part to help push for WMATA to look at refunding this and getting it back in operation, ideally next year. Thanks.
Thank you, Ray. Naiwa, did you want to have a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Eric for a very nice sharing with useful information. It's very good to know about the history of the L1 bus going back to the streetcars. It's a really marvelous history. I can share a little about what happened 2 years ago when WMATA suspended the L1 bus. My understanding is that it was not an intention to suspend the bus. What happened 2 years ago, I think it was in March when the COVID pandemic started, was WMATA decided to reduce service frequency on all the metro buses because of the reduced ridership and also because of budget problem. So what they did was they changed all the bus schedule from the weekday schedule to Saturday schedule. So for most buses like L2, that means a reduction in the service frequency because the bus usually runs more frequently on weekdays than on weekends. But for L1 bus, it only runs on weekdays. So just by the change to Saturday schedule, there's no Saturday schedule for L1 bus. So it was suspended. And at that time, I know some of myself and some of my neighbors contacted Mary Chase office and asked her to help. And she wrote back and said her understanding is that this is not what WMATA intended. And so she directed her staff to try to contact the WMATA to try to restore the L1 bus. Unfortunately, I guess WMATA was in a pretty messy situation, so it didn't happen. And so I just saw the announcement from WMATA a couple of days ago again. Now, I think because of the new wave of the pandemic, they're going to do the same thing. They're reducing the bus frequency by changing to the Saturday schedule. So that means for buses that run on a weekday only schedule, that bus will be suspended. So two things. One is I hope that they can take this L1 bus out of that context. It should not be handled by the Saturday schedule rule, but it should be handled by its own merits. And the second thing is, I think in the future, I really hope that WMATA is not going to use this second Saturday schedule or way to reduce service frequency, because that really has unintended effects. Instead, I hope that they will just directly change the service frequency from the regular weekday schedule to a lower frequency when they need to, instead of changing to the Saturday schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Packets?
Yeah, can confirm that it's currently running on a Saturday schedule and it's awful. I'm in my office downtown and I take the L2. Yeah. Well, I'm using take very loosely. This week, it's been an absolute nightmare. I used to take the L1 too, because I've been in where I live now for the past 12 years, and I've always been frequenting the buses, and they actually switched the route when I switched jobs to make it more convenient for me. So I like that. But like the L1 like kind of just fell off the budget though in the last fiscal year, and like they didn't seem to like alert anybody to be able to comment on it. So yeah, it was just like kind of quietly deleted, and usually like they post the lines that they're going to change so that the public can comment, and it just didn't happen. As a frequent WMATA commenter, I would have certainly not missed the opportunity to weigh in. But yeah, I'm really excited that we're doing this. And my other question, I guess, is are we going to reach out to the other ANCs affected by this route and get them to buy in, do the same thing?
Yes.
Cool.
So to answer, to comment on both of your comments, and just to let the people who aren't aware, WMATA is very hard for us to do anything with, because they're not technically under city control. And so anytime we have to advocate for something, we have to make sure we come from all avenues. That's why we're doing this petition, we're doing a resolution, we got to reach out to Mary Che, we have to do all this stuff. And then to answer your second question, Commissioner Packets, yes, I have reached out to 3F and 34G, and both of them have said that they will help us, support us get signatures on the petition. And they also said that they will be happy to do resolutions as well. Although, as you know, all ANCs are very, very busy, so it just requires a little bit of reminding and stuff like that. But I will, as soon as we get a good draft out of committee, I will reach out to them again and give them drafts as well, and let them know that February is the time to pass this. And I think it's good. I think we're early, which is good. It's always good to be early, always good to have more time, just so we can get more signatures on the petition. I think once we have more signatures on the petition, we have a resolution, we go to those with Mary Che and ask her, like, look, this is a big chunk of your people, and we need your support as well. So we have a question in the chat. Have other commuter buses, i.e. which run only on weekdays in the mornings and evening, also fallen out of the budget, like the H1? That's a good question. Does anyone know the answer if the other ones have also fallen out of the budget? And I just want to clarify, when I reached out to WMATA, it wasn't that they haven't, no one told me they've fallen out with the budget. What I was told was we need to advocate to put it in the budget for it to come back. So again, there's no clear clarification, but I do not know about the H1. And I don't think our DDOT representative is here, but I am happy to reach out to WMATA and check. Okay, so I'll need to check if the H1 is running, and I will report back at our next meeting. Wonderful.
I think that one is with frequency as a frequent downtowner. But there's like a list of them somewhere of what was not funded in the budget that they're currently operating off of. Which I would send a link to their website, but it's probably going to take me like 2 hours to find where they've posted it because their website is terrible. But yeah, it's not DDOT. DDOT's not having much or any say in this. It's the folks at WMATA, and then it's like, you know, kind of done by committee and what the staff over at WMATA is recommending to the board at the end of the day.
Warren, go ahead.
I just want to say where I see this stuff about, you know, that the OM bus is a critical alternative metro when it's undergoing renovation. More generally, I bike to downtown where I work, but my friends who take the metro, like at Cleveland Park and Woodley Park, said that the red line is so over capacity that they can't, like at rush hour before the pandemic, they couldn't even get onto rush hour trains at Woodley Park anymore. So, I mean, I think, you know, you have a situation where the red line is, you know, for reasons that are beyond what I think we can discuss tonight, beyond capacity. So I just think we're going to need that kind of critical bus infrastructure just to address the overutilization of the red line.
That's a really good idea, and I think I should put it in the resolution as well.
It's the other way around. It's not during the pandemic. It was prior to the pandemic, and we would anticipate that, I mean, if you drive out towards Rockville and Gaithersburg, it's unbelievable the amount of apartment buildings that are going up along the red line metros out there, which, you know, will obviously impact the metro in the future.
Also, Sandra, thank you for your comments. Yes, I know I've also seen people pouring into the red line often when from the red line into the buses often when metro is bad. Mike, go ahead.
I mean, hopefully this is like a straightforward point, but also just like given the like impending redesign of the Connecticut Avenue corridor in northwest, like eliminating high capacity bus lines doesn't make any sense at all. It's just totally at odds with the strategic plan for the corridor. So
that's such a good idea. I know it's obvious, but it didn't occur to me. So thanks for saying that. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Any other comments?
Yeah, I was also going to comment, but is the high capacity like do we mean like the what you have in New York, but they really put some serious money into it in a way that the 14th and 16th Street limited stop bus routes were never given the kind of funding New York has, where you have dedicated buses with multiple doors where you buy your ticket before you get on the bus, and there's limited stops and express line. I mean, you can go in New York up and down 1st and 2nd Avenue faster than you can get the subway. I'm just, you know, if we want to, you know, really ask for some serious money into that, but it costs a lot of money to do what New York City did on those lines. I mean, if that's what we mean by high capacity, I mean, all those things.
I removed those words because I think for right now, let's just advocate for getting it back. But I totally agree with you that, like, if there's some way that we can make it so that it's like that, I mean, that would be ideal. It would be really, really good. Awesome. So what I did want to do was I wanted us to edit, us to kind of work together on the language of the both of the petition and of the resolution, which I think everyone can link to over here. So you'll see the resolution over there. But I'm also cognizant of time. I don't like long meetings. I'm sure everyone doesn't. So I propose, I'm going to put this in the chat again. I propose, if everyone's okay with this, that we do some offline checking and editing of these things with the committee, if that's okay, and commissioners. And then we can move on with the agenda and get to other items, just so everyone goes home on time. while everyone is home. Everyone can log off on time. Is that okay with everyone, or did anyone see any verbiage, any language here? I will make the updates. So I took these notes. I will make these updates to the resolution, and I might make them to the petition as well. But is there anyone from the community who would like to, either comment right now, or also if you would like me to email you as well as we're editing this, if you're interested? No? Okay. Wonderful. So I will follow up on this with everyone, and we will keep this going. So the next, okay, thank you, Sandra. Sandra, if you can give me your email, that'd be great, and then I will make sure to email you. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for introducing it, and I know you've already looked at the resolutions. Thank you for all your work on that as well.
Thanks. I didn't want to turn on my video because I was eating dinner. Yeah, I mean, I will send you my email. This is actually the item that I actually signed on for. So I don't know what you're discussing beyond this. So I will probably say goodbye to you if it's not rude.
No, it's not at all. You're welcome to come and leave whenever you want, but thank you. I wasn't aware, but thank you so much for coming. And was there any additional comments you wanted to make, or any additional ideas you wanted to
No, I mean, I've just been riding the L1 since the mid-90s. I mean, that's how long I've been riding it, because I worked at the National Academies for over 25 years, and I've lived along Connecticut Avenue for that long. And so I've seen it through everything. And I mean, this is just another iteration of them trying to, or maybe not trying to, but kind of forgetting that it's useful. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, for joining us. Yeah.
Happy
Bye-bye.
to. Bye-bye.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome, thank you. So next item on the agenda is the safety and functionality of the signal light in front of Connecticut Avenue at the entrance exit from the underground parking garage for the Kennedy Warren. So for anyone who's walked down Connecticut Avenue, this traffic light is definitely in a weird place. I always am confused when I approach it as well. But I'm wondering if either Naiwa or someone from the Kennedy Warren wants to talk about this issue a little bit.
I know Chip knows a lot about that situation. So I'm really glad, Chip, you're able to join us for this meeting. Do you want to share with us your thoughts, and also what you have heard from other neighbors in the building?
No, you're much more articulate than I. I think there's a safety issue. I think there is, I hate to say convenience, but Newa and I both have cars, as I think probably half the residents of the Kennedy Warren do. So Newa, why don't you take a swing at it? I'll start it. The light that controls our exit from our underground garage is shorter than it used to be. Not more than 3 cars at the most can get out. I think we will always have problems with pedestrians, particularly when the zoo is busy, just ignoring the pedestrian signal. I don't suppose there's a solution for that other than a sign. Newa, I'll let you continue from here.
Hey, well, so let me maybe add to Chip's comments. So let me just clarify what is the location. So this is along Connecticut Avenue. If you go south on Connecticut Avenue, past Clingo Valley Bridge, you come to 4 signal lights pretty close to each other. The first one is the signal light at Devonshire. And then a little past that is the signal light for the Kennedy Warren parking garage on the east side of that road. And then just a very short distance further south from that is the signal light at North Road. The 2 signal lights, I guess, are probably maybe 20 yards apart from each other. It's a very short distance. And then a little further down, is the pedestrian entrance for the zoo. Oh, I forgot to mention, the signal light at North Road is the automobile entrance to the zoo. If you drive to park in the zoo, that's where you go in. So there are a number of concerns that Chip and I have both heard about from other neighbors and candidate Warren. Let me organize it roughly into 4 topics. And those affect both, I guess, the functionality and safety for candidate Warren residents who drive cars in and out, as well as for safety for other drivers on Connecticut Avenue and also for pedestrians along Connecticut Avenue coming out or going to the zoo. So I think the first issue is that signal light is very short. I think Chip timed it on a couple of occasions. It seems that it used to be about 18 seconds, and somehow recently, for whatever reason, it became shortened to about 12 seconds. And that's really difficult for cars to make a entrance or exit safely. Oh, I should have mentioned, the driveway that goes down to the underground parking garage is a slope. So the cars coming out is, I guess, going uphill. And so it's a bit difficult to see things all around until you get all the way up to the top. So the second issue that I think I myself and many of my neighbors have found problematic is sometimes it seems that there is probably a sensor built into the signal light on the other side of Connecticut Avenue, and to sense whether it is a car waiting to come out. And sometimes the sensor somehow does not see the car waiting to come out of the parking garage. So sometimes people wait in the car and 2 or 3 signal lights passed. So we can see the signal light in front of the zoo at the North Road and at Devonshire changing, but not the signal light for the parking garage. So it seems that something probably needs to be done to make the sensor either more sensitive, or they might need to be pointed a little downward to see the car coming up here from that driveway. And the third issue that I think many of us are concerned about for the pedestrian safety is there are many people, especially families with young children, coming to the zoo, going out of the zoo all the time, including this winter time. And sometimes they just walk through that part of the sidewalk where the cars are coming out. And we have lots of worries that one of those days, if a kid runs through that sidewalk, somebody might get injured. And in a lot of places, well, I think I have seen, and this where there is an active driveway, this, I guess, Department of Transportation will put up warning signs on both sides of the driveway to alert pedestrians there is an active driveway you're coming to, so be careful. And so hopefully people will at least slow down and watch before they cross that part of the sidewalk. And so that's the third issue. And the fourth issue is that I think the timing for the signal light at our parking garage and the timing for the signal light at North Road, where the cars coming out of the zoo seem to change exactly the same time. And so sometimes we get into a very dangerous situation when a car comes out of North Road and turns right and speeds up right away, and then they didn't see that there's another signal light and there's a car trying to come out of the Kennedy Warren driveway. And it seems that if there's a way to build in a lag of a couple seconds between those two signal lights, that might avoid some potential accidents that is just waiting to happen. Chip, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, there's one other. I will ask you all to envision coming northbound now. Newa made an excellent verbal description of coming southbound on Connecticut. Coming northbound, say, if you're at the zoo pedestrian entrance, the light that Newa described at North Road, which is the automobile entrance to the zoo, when it turns red, the lag between that, when that light turns red, and now we're on the zoo side of Connecticut, the light that Newa's been talking about that controls our coming and going is on, if you will, the west side of Connecticut. This is the light on the east side, the zoo side. The lag between when that light turns red and when our light turns green is very, very short. And if nobody ever ran that red light, including bicyclists, then we wouldn't have anything to worry about. However, that is not the case. People are trying to beat that light. And there have been a number of close calls because, for reasons Newa described, people coming out of our driveway are anxious to get moving. And the closest calls have been with bicyclists, because bicyclists seem to be a little lax about traffic lights anyway.
I hope that we don't turn this into a bicyclist versus pedestrian versus cars issue. There's a safety issue here, so we should.
Well, this is one of the safety issues. It happens to be the one that I've seen most often. So I would say that's issue number 5.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Paggett, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I live in the building directly across the street from what you're describing. So I'm very familiar with the confusion. There isn't a sensor on that's timing that out of your driveway. The lights are timed to be triggered by the pedestrians that want to cross the street. So either by the beg buttons and then they're all sequenced to like change accordingly, whether it's the beg button or it's regular cadence. I guess, and Swella, I think your note taking is interesting here, because it seems like y'all were talking about the cars not having the convenience of the light changing. If you're in a car, the burden is on you to not hurt pedestrians and others that are not in a 2,000, pound protected vehicle. So speeding up the driveway, don't do that. Like, slow it down. And trying to get through these lights, like, you're gonna hurt someone and you're gonna feel really bad about that. So, I take a lot of issue with, making it more convenient for the car to get on the street and faster versus like these families that are like, I walk there and I am traumatized by these cars trying to mow me down.
So Commissioner Paggett, similar comment, but I totally do agree with, so here's the thing, right? Like, I think the best way forward for us is to try and fix the infrastructure. Like, this infrastructure right now, it's designed for, at least what I'm hearing is this is not designed for anyone. Like, it's not safe for pedestrians. It's not safe for bicyclists because cars are coming out of nowhere. The people in cars that are coming out of the Kennedy Warren, they don't want to hurt anyone. But because of the way the infrastructure is designed, often they're put in danger of, being hurt. And absolutely right? Like, we all want the bicyclists to slow down. We all want the pedestrians to follow the lights. We all want the cars to slow, but and we should be thinking about the most vulnerable people first. And I think the mention of the zoo and the people of the zoo crossing that light and people like that should be our priority, right? Like, the people crossing are safe as possible.
That was my note a few years ago to the folks in Vision Zero, because they changed the timing of the light to accommodate for like a longer wait time for pedestrians and and people were just not being patient and just crossing Connecticut Avenue. And I was like, I really don't want to witness a murder. So can we please have a look-see at this? So
if we go forward, so just to think about solving this issue, right? I guess two questions. I think one thing I know is, one thing that would be possible is to be able to do a traffic safety investigation. And to do that, the ANC commissioner from whose ANC it is, they submit a traffic safety investigation.
anyone can submit it.
Sorry?
You don't need the support of the ANC anymore. Anyone can submit it.
Oh, anyone can submit it. Oh, good. Thank you, Commissioner Packett. So that's one way of doing this, is to get a traffic safety investigation in that light. I mean, I know we all have our solutions about timing and stuff like that. The reality with DDOT is they don't listen to anyone. They make their own decisions. So the only thing we can do is ask them to make that decision, right? So that's one thing. The other question I guess I have for the Kennedy Warren residents is that light, like, is there some way the Kennedy Warren Community Association or whoever, is there like condo board or something, they can be engaged on this? Because that would really help, because it seems like it's very, very connected to the Kennedy Warren. So, you know, we can try and do something, but if the Kennedy Warren Condo Association also wants to do something, we can.
That's why NAWA is here.
Okay, because he's part of that.
He is leading that effort.
I see. Okay. So I think what we want to do, unless someone has a better idea, is try and submit a traffic safety investigation for that, and highlight these issues that are a danger to everyone using that intersection. Naiwa, you have your hand up, but Naiwa, I also want to be cognizant. I know you have another item as well. So I don't want us to take a long time. So if you can keep your comments brief so we can move on. And I know there are other community members that have other stuff they want to bring up too. So
also, I really appreciate Commissioner Packett just suggesting that we go with a traffic safety investigation. We'll definitely be very glad to do that. And I would appreciate if either Commissioner Packett or Commissioner Siddiqui can let us know, what's the procedure that we can submit such a request. We're not a condo, so we are tenants. So we have a Kennedy Warren Residents Association instead of a homeowner condo association. And Chip is currently one of our board members. We will gladly take this back to our resident association board and move in that direction. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So I think I can send you all that details, and I'm happy to help you all craft that as well. So if, oh, there you go, Commissioner Packett just put the link in.
So that's the link explaining the process and like kind of
I will get you the process, Naiwa. I will email you everything, and then I can also help you fill it out as well.
Oh no, this new 311 portal, the 311 portal has all the forms to fill out, like all the ticking of the boxes.
All right. Thank you. So again, at the interest of time, I'm sorry, I'm always not happy when we cut short discussion, but I also want to make sure we get to everyone because I know there are other community members here as well. So moving on to our next item, there's some safety issues on the intersection of Porter Street Northwest and 35th Street Northwest, and also Reno Road throughout multiple intersections. And Jessica, I'm so happy you're here. So please, why don't you go ahead and explain to us some of the stuff that you emailed me about.
Thank you. I think I'm off mute and on video. My husband encouraged me to prepare, and of course I didn't prepare a spiel other than to say that recently, as all of you, I've been, home a lot more and have been walking around the neighborhood a lot more. And I think the issue on Porter really is people, and I think it's interesting to see on the agenda, Porter's on the east side of Connecticut has some of the same issues, but I'm speaking really from Wisconsin to sort of Reno, but really Wisconsin to Connecticut. I mean, people really build up a head of steam as they go down the hill on Porter. And I think there's a crosswalk at 36 that I think that's another issue, but also really the stop sign at 35th. I cross that almost every day with my son, and I feel like we're always sort of dodging cars who speed through. And I'm interested in perhaps a camera there just to even monitor the amount of cars that speed through, or there's a bus stop there. So, you know, I don't know if a raised crosswalk is an issue with a bus stop. That's potentially an issue. But really some sort of monitor. I'm curious, frankly, because it feels like every time we cross, there's cars whizzing down, but also Porter, as you sort of head down to Connecticut, it winds pretty strongly. And I think there's, you know, just in terms of speed, I think it's an issue. But also Reno, there's just the crosswalks at, you know, Ordway, Rodman, Macomb. Well, Macomb has a stoplight, but Quebec, just a number of crosswalks that sort of come out of the blue. And as a pedestrian, I frankly just don't take them because it's, you know, cars are rounding the bend. I mean, as a driver, I find it intimidating because I know pedestrians have the right of way, but it's, you know, you round the bend if you're coming if you're on Reno, coming towards Porter, you know, over by Quebec, there's a sharp curve. The other night I was walking, I think that's when I emailed you, it was 5 o'clock or something, it was dark, kids were riding bikes across Reno, and cars stopped, but there was a moment just as an observer where I thought, oh my gosh, this could have been terrible. So, you know, any ways to increase reflectivity, you know, I know neighbors are sensitive to flashing lights on crosswalks and things like that, and I get that, but if there's a way to maybe have reflectors on the street, or I don't know, just some ways to make sure that cars and people can safely coexist along Reno. And as a driver, you know, if I slow down for a pedestrian, I'm always cognizant of, you know, people behind me might not know that the crosswalk's coming. People, again, on Reno, it's a thoroughfare these days. You can really, and again, with all the hills, people do sort of tend to go quickly, which not saying that's appropriate, but as a reality, people build up a head of steam as they're sort of zipping to the next, heading up to Maryland. So exploring ways to monitor, you know, stop sign cameras or reflectors, things like that is, it seems like where our neighborhood is, especially, you know, I think someone on the agenda had mentioned with the new City Ridge, Porter, Quebec are going to start to be cut-throughs for a lot of these, for a lot of folks coming over to Wegmans and whatnot. So thinking about how is that going to impact the crosswalks as people attempt to cross the street.
I have become very well-versed expert at this 311 portal because there's different like requests that you can put in specific to things. So do the crosswalks exist currently?
Yes.
Then you can request a sign through roadway signs or something.
Okay.
So they have like different categories for different things. So in addition to like filing for these traffic safety investigations, you can also file through different bits of this for like repainting of roadway strippings and markings if they already exist. If there's an existing crosswalk, but there's not proper signage, there's a category for that. I had to do this, by the way, for the Ada Montessori school, where it was just like improve the crosswalk situation in front of the school. Like the principal has like brought up all of these issues, and Christian from our liaison for DDOT was like, here's what you do, go to this portal, file like all of these different things, and like
awesome.
And I'm like, okay, but I shouldn't have to file like 6 different things when I sent you this email. Like, you do your job, I don't get paid, but happy to help. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And for stop sign, like sign, you know, or video, I've seen like they've done videos and things. I don't know if that's a hopeless endeavor, or if there's.
Is probably going to need to be part of like anything that they do with like a traffic safety thing.
Okay.
And that one might actually require the resolution from the ANC.
Okay. Okay.
But we can at least start with the baby steps because they do take a while to even start requests. But if you point out the problem, like it gets onto their list, right?
Okay. No, that's great. That's super helpful.
Mike?
I am speaking in my personal capacity. I live on Rodman Street, and yeah, I definitely echo that concern. I don't know how many times we have gotten the like median stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk, you know, kind of barrier middle of the road
Oh,
sign
knocked
replaced
over.
on Rodman Street, but it gets taken out as soon as it gets put up, which I think is indicative of a problem in and of itself. So anyway, I was just going to say, I mean, the issue of Reno has come up for CPCA itself recently. We are going to be undertaking like a member survey with a specific focus on gathering kind of members' perceptions about which intersections are especially problematic, and I'd be happy to share that out next month. But I do think that it is the whole Reno corridor. I mean, I echo Jessica's point. It just seems like it is becoming increasingly problematic. It feels like faster somehow. I'm not sure why. But I do think that it warrants some real systemic investigation, and maybe some creative design solutioning. And so anyway, I just like I would echo her concerns and say that this may be an issue that you know, I think the committee could engage on.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think, I mean, especially in the context again of like Connecticut is going to be severely disrupted over the next couple of years. So.
Yeah, and I think the Wisconsin Connecticut side, that's its own. I think more and more people are looking for cut throughs.
So thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, and thanks for like both of these suggestions. I think these are really good. So I think we have two very good action items. One is Jessica, if maybe you and I can work with Commissioner Pagets to get all the small things we can get done. So maybe if you can help me identify, because I'm your ANC representative as well. So if you can help me identify where the crosswalks are, where there's like all the small things, we can then use Commissioner Pagets' expertise to help like at least get those things started. The cameras, you are right. It's a little harder, but I don't think it's that hard nowadays. I'll tell you why, because I actually walked Reno Road. I think I told you this over email to Jessica. I walked Reno Road with someone from the mayor's office, like the entire stretch. And I said, you just have to see how horrible this is. You have to see how dangerous this is. And I mean, you know, it is scary. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, this is not even rush hour right now. It is.
Did you do it recently? Was it?
I did it about, I did it before Christmas. So I did it, and they were like, oh my God, this is like so dangerous. And, you know, of course they took notes and everything. And, but you know, the thing is like, I think what you're talking about, the systemic things, I think that's there. And I think that I like the idea of us as a committee working on this. And I think it's great, Mike, that CPCA is working on this, because that would be wonderful to support. So I think there's the quick, small things we should do. And then I think the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to email Christian and the person from the mayor's office I did a walkthrough with and say, hey, this has been brought up again. And then the third very large thing is I think let's get this to the ANC. Let's wrap this up in how traffic patterns are changing, and we want to make sure that these roads are safe, and how everyone has noticed in the community this is getting unsafe and more unsafe by the day. And then we can sort of you know, wrap this up in this. How does that sound?
So the way Christian was having me do it was putting in the request, then sending him the numbers. So he bundles the numbers together. I guess that makes it easier for their teams to like divide, conquer, tackle, but also know that they're looking at the same batch, I guess, of requests. But yeah, I'm happy to help get those in there, lump them together, and then coordinate.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, and it's awesome CPCA is working on this too. Cool. All right, anyone else want to talk about this particular issue? So thanks for coming, Jessica. I knew that if you came here and you described the problem, we'd find some ways forward. So hopefully we can follow up on these, and then
This is my first ANC transportation meeting, so thank you. This was super interesting. Thanks for reaching out.
Good, of course. It's always great when people come here. Okay, so we are past 8 p.m. I'm not in favor of very long meetings. So I know that I just wanted to mention some agenda items, and I know that some people are here to talk about them. So Warren, the installation of speed humps and Cortland Place Northwest, just to announce to everyone, the ANC will be voting on this resolution at its next meeting next week on Wednesday. And again, I don't know how people are going to vote, but I do support it. I know Commissioner Paget supports it. I know Commissioner Gershon supports it. I'm sure everyone on the committee, and I'm sure like it's something that, if you want safety, it's a good thing to support. So if anyone wants more information on that, I'm happy to do that. Cassandra, thank you for the chat message. I just saw it. Everyone, the Main Street has also gotten emails about Reno. Okay, awesome. That's good to know. And Cassandra, since you've been here for our entire meeting, I also wanted to give you a quick chance if you wanted to say anything. I know that the Streetscape public meeting is anticipated for late winter, early spring, whatever that means. But did you have anything else to add or anything to add about that?
So I am hearing that it could be March now, but I think it would be fun to place bets on when this is going to start and see who comes closest. So that's sort of my idea. I did want to bring up, there's a lot of concern. I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but PUDOs.
Oh yeah. So me and Bo have still not written on that draft documents. Just to update everyone, there is we asked DDOT to think about pickup, drop off, and parking on Connecticut Avenue, and they asked us for a problem statement, which essentially they said do our job for us, and we said sure, we'll go ahead and do it. Cassandra did a survey, so we have some information from that, and so right now we're trying to draft a statement on that. So I think so I talked to Bo right before this, Cassandra. Unfortunately, both of us are overwhelmed at work right now. And so if one thing you can do, Cassandra, which Bo and I are going to try and do this week as well, is if you can go in that document and start writing stuff. I think the goal is right now just to get a draft together. And then as we get a draft together to send it to DDOT, and then work with them to make sure that our issues are outlined. So if you can start adding to that, start adding language to that, Bo and I will do it as well. And we'll just move with it as we can.
Have you heard any word on which side of the street will the bike lane will be on? Because that side of the street, there won't be parking at all. So that would determine our PUDO plan.
So that is part of the next design guidelines, and that happens once DDOT starts the design process. No one's made any decision about it, and no one's taken any input on it either. So, and no one has any position on it as far as I know. Like, excuse me. At least there's no, so that is still part of the discussion, and it's part of the next part of DDOT's process. So it's one of those things, like it's hard for us to, I think the thought initially was that we still gather information and talk about PUDOs right now, so that we can at least be ready when they come and tell them about the need when they come, with that process. But that is, again, it's gonna play out, and everyone's gonna be part of that discussion on which side the bike lane's on and what it looks like and things like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Bob, go ahead. You had your hand up.
Hey, thanks. You guys passed a resolution, I forget when, but a few months ago, talking about the rush hour lanes and talking about parking management, getting a jump on the design phase of the bike lanes. That why do we have to wait for that to, anyhow, had you gotten any reaction back from DDOT?
And I will say this publicly, as horrible, the DDOT is so horrible, they don't respond to us. All of us have gone in and testified at oversight hearings, publicly shamed them. They don't respond, and it seems like they don't care. So, I'm only saying this, Bob, not to be like we should stop trying, but just to let you know that the pressure is on from our end. What it looks like right now is they are all just the city wants traffic to flow into downtown, and they are just not even considering anything else. Is my hunch. And no one has told me this, and so yeah, I can try and reach out again, but as far as I know, that didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing it up, though.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, that would be awesome, right? Like if we just had parking on both sides, at least until it's built, like that would be really nice. Yeah, oversight hearings are coming up. I mean, we asked them not to confirm the DDOT director, yet they didn't even vote on him. So then he was automatically confirmed. So council is not very good at listening on us. And unfortunately, they do listen when we talk about safety nowadays, but it's hard to get them to listen to anything else. But Cassandra, you should totally testify at the oversight hearing. No, okay. Cool. So let me see. There were other ones were just announcements, but I do want to give, yeah, no life any worse. I do want to give Naiwa, I know we wanted to talk about ice on Clingle Valley Bridge. So given that we are sort of short on time, Naiwa, is it okay if I summarize? And then maybe you can add if needed, and then we can come up with an action plan for that?
Of course.
So Naiwa, I believe what happened was that, as everyone knows, when this snow came in, there was accumulation of ice and the city was behind on everything. And one thing in particular they're behind on was salt and de-icing the Clingle Valley Bridge, which is essential for a number of people walking across it. And it's also essential for members of our community who are elderly, members of our community who are disabled, people with kids. And it's just bad for everyone who needs to be able to walk across.
Solid. Let me clarify. The issue is not the roadway for the automobile.
On the sidewalk, right?
Sidewalk along the bridge.
Yes, thank you. So, and then Naiwa brought it up that it would be great if we're proactive on this. So if we put some pressure and we're proactive, to make sure that they're like resolving these sidewalk issues as quickly as possible. I think it's a good idea to be proactive. I think for us, I also think the flip side is for the ANC 3C to be like, hey, make sure you clean our sidewalks to the city when the city was behind on every sidewalk. I think it can prove a little difficult, but I'm not personally opposed to trying. But the other thing I think that Naiwa mentioned, which I think is really good, is to send a thank you note to Councilmember Mary Che, because she was instrumental in helping us sort of clean the sidewalks out when they contacted her. And so that I think would be nice. And Naiwa, if I would propose if other people also agree, maybe we can draft up a little thank you note and then send it. Naiwa, did you want to add anything? And then we'll go to Commissioner Pagas because she has.
Yeah, thank you. If we can send Mary Che and her staff a nice thank you note, that would be very nice because she was really instrumental in getting this. Let me clarify that the issue that I'm concerned about, and I think many of my neighbors are concerned about, is not just about the Clingle Valley Bridge. And we learned that there are many other bridges in the city that are also having the same problem. This should be a citywide issue. And I think we should do our part to advocate for the city to take it seriously, to take care of the sidewalks for the pedestrians and not just prioritize automobiles. We understand that the DC code does require that the city clear the sidewalks on bridges and other public properties within 8 hours, the same way that the district requires private property owners to clear the sidewalks along their properties. We just hope that the city will give us take it seriously what the law requires them to do, and do it for all the bridges and all the public sidewalks in the future. And I do hope that we can not only thank Mary Che and her staff for what they did this last Thursday to get many of the bridges cleared, but also make sure that this gets on their radar screen. So in the future, the same clearance will happen sooner than later. Thank you.
That's a great idea. Go ahead, Janelle.
Yeah, so a bit of it is that, first of all, this has been the bane of my existence. I've fallen so many times on that sidewalk, on that bridge after a snowstorm. It's really ridiculous. So yes, totally agree, problem. My idea for a proposed solution is I'll reach out to the owners of, or the property managers of like the immediate large buildings around the bridge, because there's 4 of them on all those sides, including my building, and see if there's a way that we can get like a rotation going of like just having some folks from that are already clearing the sidewalk in front of those buildings, because that's the required, 36 inches in 8 hours of daylight, which is not required, I believe, of the city to do, or the feds, which is interesting. But see if they'll just do a good faith effort for their residents and have folks go a little bit further than they normally would, and like kind of have it be on that rotating burden of each of those buildings, right? To be good neighbors, good citizens. If not, I'll get a damn shovel and do it myself. So like, it just drives me crazy. But yeah, because of the issues generally with the Department of Public Works, which is responsible for snow clearing, not DDOT, which is a whole nother issue. I don't know if you guys saw the news that the mayor had to pull her nominee for that department due to just gross incompetence, right? So they're nothing if not consistent with it, right? So yeah, I'm gonna try and work with the building managers and see if I make any headway to just solve for our own problem without the long drawn bureaucratic government change, and hopefully in the interim they can get their acts together.
Naiwa, you're on mute. You're still on mute. Naiwa, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you for the good suggestion. If we can get property owners nearby to pitch in, that would be really great. At the same time, I do think that we should also be good citizens and urge the city to do what they're supposed to do. It's a part of the DC code that I think there's one section 9. I think it's 601 that requires private property owners to take care of their sidewalks, and the next section 9.602 requires the city to do the same with the same time frame, within 8 hours after the snow stops. So I do hope that the city can do what it's supposed to do, and don't just prioritize on cleaning the roadway for the automobiles, but also clear the sidewalks along bridges and public properties for the pedestrians. We are just as important as the automobiles. Thank you.
So thanks, Naiwa. I think what we want to do is, so Naiwa, maybe if everyone on the committee agrees, Naiwa, perhaps you can draft a thank you note to Mary Che. And then when we send that note to Mary Che, we also ask her, by the way, how do we get the city? Is there a way that we can get the city to do this on time? And then see what her advice is. Like if she says, yeah, go ahead, pass a resolution and bring it to me, and then I will take it. If she says this, or if she says like, so I think we can find mechanisms through her, because this is, it's as Commissioner Paggett's told you, like, we can try and scream all we want. If there's no one like sort of heavy hitting on our side, it'll be hard. But maybe, so Naiwa, maybe one of the steps is you can draft a thank you note to Mary Che. Does everyone else on the committee agree that that's okay from the committee to come a thank you note? Okay, thanks. Thank you. And then maybe
I would be glad to do that, and then send it back to you and Commissioner Paget and the committee to look at and
and it's going to be a little weird. I'll tell you all right now, because committees have never sent thank you notes before, but I see no problem in doing it. So we'll still have to check with the full commission, but might as well do it. And then might as well get one drafted and ask the commission that this is being sent on behalf of the committee. Hopefully it's okay. We'll just check with everyone. Cool. So we have one final comment from Jack E about bad actors not clearing sidewalks, in particular if his business owner is not clearing sidewalks. So thanks, Cassandra, for thanks. So again, this committee is not about enforcement. We're just about trying to solve problems. If there is a particular, you know, I would say take this to, I don't know, who would you take this to? Does anyone know? This is not in particular, like if a sidewalk in front of a business is not shoveled.
So I think you go to DCRA, which probably also has a portal, and lodge the complaint with them. The thing is that the fine for not clearing your sidewalk is like $25, right? So one, is DC going to enforce it? Probably not. Two, like it's $25. So, which that's something new I've recently learned, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I
The
would
other
not.
side of the coin is a liability issue. So if somebody walks by candidate Warren and trips and falls on the sidewalk, I think the property owner is probably responsible.
And that's why the owners in my building like went out there and shoveled at like 10 p.m. themselves, because the I don't know, building engineers didn't do it before they left for the day. So we were like, liability, we don't want to get sued. Get out there with like, you know, your little garden shovel, because it's a multi-family, you know, unit or building.
Yeah, and we should hold the same standard to the private property owners as well as the public spaces.
So Jack E, yes, you may call 311, or as Commissioner Paget suggested, you may go to DCRA. Warren, you were trying to say something.
Oh, I was just curious if anybody knows, because in past snowstorms, one of the businesses that failed to comply with the snow shoveling was and it was particularly egregious because it's such a large space, was the Exxon gas station at the corner of Porter and Connecticut. I didn't happen to notice this time. If I'm just curious if anybody noticed if this time they did better. I know there were complaints given right to the gas station in prior times.
I would be more than happy. I didn't notice it, Warren. I don't know if anyone else did, but I am more than happy to try and take Exxon down. And if it's snow shoveling that takes them down, then sure, that would be perfect.
Well, I mean, it's beyond transportation. They're also, both that gas station and the Exxon station further up near Nebraska are in violation of the requirements. You're supposed to have bathrooms, and they have not for a long time now provided bathrooms to the public as they're required to do. They claim it's out of order, but it's obviously a policy. So just noting.
So apparently, according to Jack E, Exxon was great. So that's unfortunate. Was looking forward to destroying them. Cool. Is there any other comments from anyone about anything or any other questions? Awesome. Thank you all for joining. I'm sorry we went, like, I always try and end at 8, but there were enough issues to talk about. I think that it was okay, but we really especially appreciate the new committee members. Thank you all so much. And yeah, and hope everyone stay safe, and we will see some of you at our next ANC meeting.
Yeah, thank you, especially the new committee members. It's awesome.
Yeah,
oh, thank you.
Thanks.
All right,
Good to see you all.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.